What's going on, guys? James from Project Still Beating here. Today we're going to do a little bit of review, recap, or maybe just my thoughts, whatever you want to call it, on my first adventure race. This weekend we raced the LBL. It was a 15-hour adventure race, and it was absolutely brutal. You know, we've been training for this for a long time. It's on our can list, so we did get to mark something off because we did finish our first LBL race, first adventure race, and we did finish it in under the time allowed, so we was an official finisher, and that was our goal. And surprisingly to myself, you know, my goal was to finish, but I even pulled out the second place in my division and 12th overall out of all the teams, so very happy. Got this cool little medal. Let me turn it around here. Yeah. Not wanting to cooperate. Says the LBL on it. Got a nice little bottle opener on it. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about it. First off, I want to apologize. I totally forgot to take the GoPro, so I don't have footage of the race, which really sucks, but it started out with a run. We started at 7 a.m. and we ran to the boat dock where we were fitting our boats. I was a solo male, so I had a sit on top kayak, which was absolutely miserable for the paddle, let me tell you. It's a very big lake, and it had a lot of waves, and every time a wave would come, it would just come right into the boat on top of you. By the time I finished, I probably weighed 30 pounds more than when I started. I was absolutely soaked. So it made for a very miserable paddle. There were several checkpoints in between Transition Station 1, which is where we picked up the boat, and Transition Station 2. We picked up a few of those, and we were on to Transition Station 2. There we got out of the boats and we picked up our mountain bikes. Of course, you know, I had to take off all the wet clothes and put them in a bag, and then they wouldn't fit in my pack, so I had to strap them to the bottom of my back, which was hanging down, you know, and then all this extra weight made for a miserable ride for a while there until they started drying. But from Transition Station 2, where we picked up the bikes, to Transition Station 3, there was several more checkpoints that you could get, but we're talking about a lot of mountain biking, you know, a lot of miles in between there, and it was brutal and it was rough, but we used our mental toughness and we pushed through it. So we get to Transition Station 3, and then there's a couple of loops there that you can do, trekking, running, walking, whatever you want to call it. You could get several checkpoints in those, and then you had to ride from Transition Station 3 all the way back to the finish. And that was, I think, close to 35 miles, I believe, just from that transition station to the finish. And we had to make it by 10 o'clock that night, which was the 15-hour cutoff. And I'll be honest, I was a little scared I wasn't going to make it there for a while. I was struggling, and then I caught a second wind, and it really felt good because my mountain biking was on par, and it picked up, and I was running a very fast pace, and I made it back in really great time. I actually had, I think, an hour and 15 minutes to spare when I made it to the finish. So, you know, I could have picked up a few extra checkpoints, but I wasn't chancing it. You know, I was wanting to get back and make sure I was a finisher. So overall, the first adventure race was an absolute success, because we did meet our goal. I finished, and the added bonus was I finished second in my division and 12th overall, so that's just amazing for me. We will be doing another adventure race to improve upon this one, and we'll be training for it just like we was for this one. So I'd like to send a special thank you out to Sean and Dallas from 361 Adventures. They ran an absolute amazing event. It was awesome. Also, all the volunteers that volunteered up there to make the race great. You guys did a great job. And all the racers that I met along the way and, gave advice and all that. Hats off to you guys. So, up next for us, I think we got a paddling race at toward the end of next month. I believe that'll be the next big event. I'll have to check on it to make sure, but we'll mark this one a success and one thing off the can list. So if you like this video from Project Still Beating, just click down here in the corner and watch another one. And while you're at it, click up here in the corner and subscribe. And this is James from Project Still Beating, and thanks for sharing my adventure with me.